Have you ever considered that you might be living a grand illusion? While millions wake up each day expecting the world to give them something, recognition, opportunities, happiness, the truly wise have discovered an uncomfortable truth that few dare to face. Nobody owes you absolutely anything. Shocking, perhaps, liberating. Absolutely. This is the premise that transformed the lame slave from ancient Greece into one of history's most influential philosophers, and it could revolutionize your life in the following paragraphs. Contrary to everything modern culture sells us, Epictetus, a man who knew suffering like few others, teaches us that expecting the world to bend to our desires is the root of all unhappiness. While you wait for your boss to recognize your effort, for your partner to guess your needs, or for society to offer what you deserve, you're handing control of your happiness to external forces you can never master. But what if I told you there's a more direct path to inner peace, one completely within your reach, regardless of circumstances? Epictetus's lessons for the 21st century don't promise a problem-free life, which would be a dishonest promise, but offer something infinitely more valuable: the ability to face any storm with unshakable serenity, the distinction between what we can and cannot control. Over 2,000 years ago, a man born into slavery, who became one of history's greatest philosophers, had already unlocked the secret to inner peace that we so desperately seek today. Epictetus taught us that the root of all suffering lies in the confusion between what depends on us and what lies beyond our control. When we expect the world to bend to our desires, when we demand that people act according to our expectations, we are, in truth, planting seeds of frustration that will inevitably germinate in our mental garden. What truly lies within our domain? Only our opinions, our impulses, our desires and aversions, in short, everything that constitutes our own doing. As for our body, property, reputation, positions, everything that does not constitute our own doing, these are not under our control. How many times do we emotionally exhaust ourselves over situations we could never control? That traffic jam that made you late, the rain that canceled your plans, the colleague who didn't deliver their part of the work, these are external circumstances that, when we try to control them, only multiply our distress. Freedom begins when we stop holding the world responsible for our happiness and take command of what truly belongs to us, our reactions. Think about how you responded to your last disappointment. Did you dwell on it for days, blame others, or perhaps you practiced what the Stoics called amor fati, the ability to accept the inevitable and focus your energy on what can be transformed? A practical exercise is, at the end of each day, to mentally list what disturbed you and ask, was this under my control? If not, practice letting go. If it was, reflect on how you could have responded better. The illusion of expectations and the power of acceptance. We live in a society that teaches us from an early age that the world owes us something, be it recognition, opportunities, or even happiness itself. However, as Epictetus would say, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When we believe we deserve certain treatment or outcomes, we create a mental trap that imprisons us. The uncomfortable but liberating truth is that the universe operates independently of our expectations, and no one, absolutely no one, is obligated to fulfill our desires. This perspective isn't an invitation to pessimism, but rather to lucidity. By abandoning the belief that people and circumstances should behave according to our wishes, we create space for genuine gratitude when something positive occurs. Imagine how different your experience would be if, instead of thinking, my boss should value my work more, you thought, I have the opportunity to demonstrate my worth regardless of external recognition. The shift seems subtle, but the impact on your inner peace is revolutionary. Acceptance, so central to Stoicism, doesn't mean passivity or resignation. On the contrary, is an act of courage and clarity. It's seeing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. When we accept that nobody owes us anything, we paradoxically become more powerful, as our happiness no longer depends on external factors. A valuable exercise is to observe for 1 week how many times you use expressions like should, ought to, or was obligated to regarding others' behavior. Each time you catch this thought, replace it with, it would be preferable, but it's not necessary for my peace. Personal responsibility as the path to freedom. Do what you must, come what may. This Stoic maxim perfectly encapsulates the essence of personal responsibility that Epictetus advocated. In a world where it's so easy to blame circumstances, others, or even the system for our difficulties, taking ownership of one's life has become an almost revolutionary act. Personal responsibility isn't a burden, as many think, but rather the key to authentic freedom. When we understand that we are the principal architects of our existence, we cease feeling like victims and begin to perceive ourselves as agents of transformation. The slave philosopher, who intimately knew the most severe limitations a human being can face, nonetheless insisted that our inner freedom remains inviolable. No one can hurt you without your consent, he said, pointing to the power we have to choose our emotional response to events. Certainly, we don't choose many of the circumstances surrounding us. We're born into a particular family, country, historical era, but we have absolute control over how we interpret and respond to these circumstances. Consider Viktor Frankl, who, centuries after Epictetus, found meaning and purpose even amid the horrors of a concentration camp. The practice of personal responsibility begins with small daily acts, stopping complaints, abandoning justifications, ceasing to expect others to solve your problems. When something goes wrong, the Stoic question isn't who is to blame, but rather what can I learn from this, and how can I respond constructively. A powerful exercise is to adopt what modern psychologists call an internal locus of control. For each challenge that arises, ask yourself, which part of this problem is under my control, and what can I do about it right now? This simple shift in perspective can transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. We've reached the end of this journey through Epictetus' timeless lessons, but in truth, this is only the beginning of your personal transformation. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue living in the illusion that the world owes you something, or will you have the courage to take the reins of your own life? The choice, as the Stoic philosopher always emphasized, is entirely yours. And perhaps this is the greatest freedom we possess, the freedom to choose our response in the face of circumstances. Imagine what your life might be like a year from now if, starting today, you stopped expecting others to meet your expectations. If, instead of wasting energy on what you cannot control, you channeled all that potential into your personal growth. would you be the same person? Would you face the same problems in the same way? Or perhaps, like so many who have embraced Stoic philosophy, would you discover an inner fortress you never imagined you possessed? Why not try an experiment? For just 1 week, consciously practice distinguishing between what is and isn't under your control, and observe the changes in your stress level and satisfaction. This knowledge has the power to transform not only your life, but also how you influence those around you. If you found value in these reflections, don't keep them to yourself. Share and comment on your experience. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue this philosophical journey that connects ancient wisdom to the most pressing issues of our time. After all, as Epictetus would say, the true purpose of philosophy is not to discuss abstract ideas, but to transform concrete lives, beginning with your own.